approval of the agenda and adoption of the agenda and acceptance of the minutes.
Okay, the recording has probably started. Can everybody see it on their screen?
Yep.
All right.
Oh,
Wait, what are we supposed to be seeing on the screen?
When it's recording and there's a
Oh,
little.
yeah. Oh, that is recording. Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool.
cool. Welcome everybody to the February 24th, 2021 meeting of the Minneapolis Bicycle Advisory Committee. Notice this meeting may involve the remote participation by members, either by telephone or other electronic means, due to the local public health emergency, novel coronavirus pandemic, pursuant to the provisions of Minnesota statutes, section 13D.021. Why don't we do the
Take the roll call.
Yeah, will you call the roll and then we'll do adoption of the agenda and acceptance of the minutes?
Okay, Aaron? Armand?
Here.
Armand? Bree? Bree, are you here? I see ya.
Here.
Okay, Dan Booty?
Here.
Dan Miller?
Here.
Deanna Newman?
Here.
Alyssa?
Here.
Georgiana Yantos? Georgiana? Okay, Greg Sauter? Heather?
Here.
Heather, are you here?
I am here.
Jamie Nelder?
I'm here.
Awesome. Janice?
Here?
Jennifer Borden?
Here.
Jesse Thornson?
Here.
Joey Senkar?
Here.
John Barrow?
Here.
Jordan Colfax? Hayden?
Here.
Kyle?
Kyle is here.
Great. Marty Grimes?
Here.
Hey. Matthew Hendricks?
Here.
Maya? Maya, are you here?
I'm here.
Philip Music?
Here.
Robin Garwood?
Here.
Robin. Samuel Ferg?
Here.
Elmer? Wes Durham? Wes?
Here.
Matthew Deardahl?
Here.
Chris Kartheiser?
Here.
Millicent Flowers? I'm here. We have 23 attending.
Thanks, Millicent. Is there anyone in attendance whose name didn't get called on the roll? Sounding like no. Great. Next, would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda and then accept the January 27th meeting minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, I'll take the vote for that. Bree? You accept the minutes?
Yes, I do.
Dan Booty?
Yep.
Miller?
Aye.
Deanna Newman, sorry.
Aye.
Alyssa?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Janice?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Aye.
Joey?
Aye.
John Barrows?
Aye.
Hayden's?
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Marty,
Aye.
Matthew Hendricks,
Aye.
Leah,
Aye.
Philip,
Aye.
Robin,
Aye.
Samuel,
Aye.
Wes,
Yes.
Matthew.
Yes.
Great, 22 vote yes for the minutes.
And Millicent, can I jump in and make sure, was there anybody who voted who hasn't completed their oath of office that we need to mark as did not vote?
No, I didn't call their names.
Okay. Great,
Is that
thank you.
somebody?
Well, thank you everybody for dealing with all of the logistical stuff. I appreciate it. It is a lot of extra. So I will now turn it over to Matthew for elections.
All right, so this is something that feels like a long time that we've been waiting for this, very long time. But today we're gonna finally have our elections. And so I did send out a one-pager yesterday, I believe, with the basically I'm just exactly what I'm gonna go over today. So if you have that, feel free to pull that up and follow along. But we are going to essentially go through a process to elect 7 positions that make up the executive committee. And again, the executive committee is responsible for setting this agenda, and they meet a week before on Microsoft Teams to do that. Robin Garwood is an honorary member of the executive committee as well, but we don't vote on Robin because he's, there's only one Robin, and then staff. So me, Millicent, and Chris attend those as well. So again, the role of that is to create the agenda for this, but also to wrestle with any committee issues that need to be dealt with to prepare the committee. So we're just going to go in order of chair, vice chair, secretary. Then we'll go with the chair of the, let's call it the engineering subcommittee first, and then vice chair, and then chair and vice chair of the 5E subcommittee. I also want to go down to the bottom of the page and just to be very clear with people that you should, and we encourage you to nominate yourself or somebody else. There's no shame if you're interested in a position. I think you should just say that. I think it just helps people know. And it's okay if we have more than one person for each position. We'll just vote, and that's fine. That's a part of this process. Agency members are also, we'll just say, technically eligible as well. Typically, it's more typical that the appointed resident members are a part of it, but we have had agency members in the past be on the subcommittees, and I think that's fantastic as well. So I just want to pause there. I see Janice has her hand up, but also, what are people thinking about this process? Does everyone feel comfortable, or I hope people are interested in different positions? But anyway, let's pause before we dive into this process. Are there any questions? Does this make sense? Janice.
Well, I did 2 things. First, I was just going to add that we had agreed that if more than one person is nominated for a position, then we'll give those people a chance to say a word or 2 about themselves, maybe why they're interested, to help people decide. And the other thing was my hand was raised because I was ready to nominate. So
Okay.
I can wait until you're ready for nominations.
Let's wait a second just to see if others are. And I think we should just give everybody an opportunity, even if there is just one, but just to hear what they're excited about for that position or what they're interested in. Any other comments, questions about this process, or what they do, what the roles are?
Matthew, I would just add that, like, typically when we're in person, there's a lot of like looking around the room and sort of gauging, like, is somebody about to jump in? Do I like?
Yep.
So, and we don't have the benefit of that this time. So, like, just want to reemphasize again, like, if folks are interested, definitely just throw your name out there. We can't necessarily read as well that, like, maybe you're interested, maybe you'd be interested, So limitations of online.
All right. Well, with that, let's start the process. I guess, why don't we entertain any motions for the chair?
That's what I was-
Sorry, 1 second. Last thing, I also should say, I'm gonna do this process for the chair, and then ask the chair to take over the process to go through the rest. And then I'm here for any questions about process. So sorry, Janice. I know you're dying to.
Oh, it's okay. I can't wait to nominate Alyssa for chair.
Okay.
If she'll accept.
Okay. So we have a nomination for Alyssa for chair. Do we have a second for that?
I second it.
Okay, we have a second. I guess I will then ask, are there any other nominations for, well, wait, I think we should just do this like we've done this in the past too, but Alyssa, are you comfortable with the nomination?
I will accept the
You have
nomination.
that. Okay.
Thanks.
You can always say no too, and I think that's important because, we wouldn't want, if you're not interested in doing the work, or representing that role, you should be clear about that, and there's no shame in that either. Thank you, Alyssa. Do we have a second? Any other nominations for the position of chair? Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations for the position of chair. Alyssa, is there anything you would like to say before we vote about your role? I don't know.
Obviously I love the Bicycle Advisory Committee. I've been serving, this will be like a weird, fourth and a half year now, since we were supposed to have these elections way back in July. But I mean, this stuff is my bread and butter. I'm really excited to continue supporting the committee however I can, and looking forward to working with you all in whatever capacity. So.
Matthew, this is Georgianne.
All right. Hello.
Can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
Matthew, can we vote by acclamation for Alyssa?
I'm gonna say what we have to do is vote by voice. Roll call. It's called roll call. We have to do that. That's
okay.
It's a directive.
Right.
Unfortunately, I appreciate the sentiment and I wish we could, but we probably can't. At this time, I'll call the question then and ask Millicent to take us through the voting.
Okay, so should I go down the list of names and ask whether or not people vote yes, no, or abstain, just like for any other voting thing?
That's correct.
Okay. You guys ready? Okay, Aaron, was he here? Bree, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Or abstain for Alyssa? What did you vote? Hello, can you say it one more time?
Hear me?
Can you say it one more
Yes.
time? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, Dan Booty,
Absolutely.
Dan Miller,
Aye.
Deanna Newman.
Yes.
Alyssa, can you vote for yourself?
I don't know. Is it customary to abstain?
Oh,
You certainly can vote for yourself.
yeah.
All right.
Feel free.
I guess I will. Yes. Thanks.
Georgiana, you want to vote?
Yes.
Hey, Heather,
Yes, please.
Jamie,
Yes.
Janice,
Enthusiastic, yes.
Jennifer,
An enthusiastic yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Joey,
Aye.
John Barrows,
Yes.
Cadence,
Aye.
Aye.
Marty,
Yes.
Matthew Hendricks,
Yes.
Maya,
Yes.
Philip,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I've got my campaign material here. Aye for Alyssa.
Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Samuel?
Aye.
Elmer? Was he present? I can't remember.
I'm just logging on now, so I guess I'll abstain.
Okay. Wes?
Yes.
Matthew Deardahl?
Yes.
Awesome. So we have 22 yeses for Alyssa as chair and 1 abstention.
All right.
St. Millicent, you didn't call me, but absolutely yes.
Oh, sorry, Robin.
Exuberant.
Yeah.
All right. Congratulations, Chair Shuffman. Are you prepared to take over the process, or do you have the one pager, or do you want me to help?
I will give it a go. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone, for the vote of confidence. I will try very hard to live up to that vote. Yeah, Matthew, you said next is vice chair, so I will open the floor for nominations for the position of vice chair.
I have a question. Matthew Hendricks, are you interested? I meant to email you.
No, not at this time. Thank you for the nomination, though.
I might start asking people too if we don't hear anything soon. Philip, what about you?
You know, I'm usually not a shrinking violet, but I actually feel like I should wait and learn a bit more about the committee. But so it's hard to pass up the opportunity to serve with Alyssa. But I think I should decline this. I should be here for a little longer.
Okay.
Well, let me just say, Philip, experience is not necessary. I became secretary, when I joined the committee, and you can imagine what taking notes are like when you have no idea what people are talking about. So,
And so I'll just say not to counter directly, Phil, but maybe for all the newer folks, I think vice chair might be like an ideal position as a newer person, because you'd get the opportunity to participate in the executive committee, which is kind of the main role. And then if Alyssa can't make the meeting, then you'd chair the meeting, and staff and other members of the BAC are always available to help make that transition smooth. So I would just make that plug for a newer member.
Oh, well,
okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I can feel the vibe here. Well, sure. But
I think there
might be someone else who has experience who's just been waiting. So,
would somebody like to make that nomination? Sorry, that's.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes, Stan Booty, I will nominate.
Okay.
Matthew, who was just nominated for vice chair?
Well, so I think I heard Philip Musig get nominated by Dan.
That's
And
correct.
Seconded by me.
Thank you, Dan. Oh, Robin. Okay.
Sorry, Alyssa, do you want to?
Yep, Alyssa, you're the chair now.
Nope, that sounds good.
I'm sorry, I'm not clear who was nominated for vice chair.
Philip Musig.
Okay, and I'd like to nominate Dan Miller.
Do we have a second for that nomination?
I'd second it if Dan's
Dan,
interested.
would you take it?
Thank you, but I decline.
All right, so one nomination for Philip. Do we have any other nominations? Any other nominations? Last call for nominations for the position of vice chair. All right, with that, I will close nominations for the position of vice chair and put the vote to the role for Millicent.
Okay, Bree,
Yes.
Dan Booty,
Aye.
Dan, aye. Dan Miller,
Aye.
Deanna Newman, Deanna, aye. Alyssa,
Aye.
Georgiana,
Yes.
Heather,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Jennifer,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Joey,
Aye.
John Barrett,
Aye.
Cadence,
Aye.
Aye.
Marty,
Aye.
T. Hendricks,
Aye.
Maya,
Aye.
Aye.
Samuel,
Aye.
Steve Elmer,
Aye.
Wes,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Becky.
Yes.
Great, we have 24 yeses for Philip as the vice chair.
Congratulations, Philip. And since this is my first elections, of course, I didn't give you an opportunity to say why you were interested in the position before we voted. Do you want to say anything now before we move on to secretary?
For me, in addition to just, helping bring in a more bicycle friendly community, it's really, I think we're just helping creating a city where land uses and sort of appreciation of place are favorable for modes other than cars. So it's exciting to serve on the committee. Yeah,
Well, thanks. Looking forward to working with you.
indeed.
I will now open the floor for nominations for the position of secretary.
I nominate Janice.
I would.
All right. Robin has nominated Janice. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, here's the thing. Cadence, are you interested? Because if you're interested, I will decline being nominated. We don't need an election.
I am interested. Yes.
Oh, that's
Okay,
great.
so I decline and I nominate Cadence.
I'll second that.
Second, yeah.
Cool. That's very exciting. Do we have any other nominations for the position of secretary? Cadence, it sounded like you accepted. Okay.
I did accept. Yes.
Great.
This tends to be a decade-long appointment too, so just keep that in mind.
Any other nominations for the position of secretary? Last call for nominations for the position of secretary. All right, nominations for the position of secretary are now closed. Cadence, do you want to say a few words about yourself and why you're interested?
Sure. So my name is Cadence, and this is my first term on the BAC. I have served as secretary 2 previous times on 2 other boards in my past, so I do have experience with taking minute meetings and Robert's rules, even if I'm not the first person to second the motion. So I was secretary for the Minnesota Cycling Federation for 2 years, and then I was also one of those student government people in college and served as secretary for a year there as well. So thanks for nominating me and having me here.
Thanks, Cadence. We are excited to have you. Millicent, will you call the roll?
Yes. Bree,
Yes.
Dan Booty,
Aye.
Dan Miller,
Aye.
Deanna, Deanna?
Aye.
Alyssa?
Aye.
Georgiana? You want to vote, Georgiana, on Cadence for secretary?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, my vote is yes.
Okay. Heather?
Yes.
Me?
Aye.
Janice?
And does this mean that from now on, for the rest of this meeting, Cadence, you have to be taking the notes? I say yes.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Joey?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Cadence? You can vote for yourself. Kyle?
Aye.
Marty?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Maya?
Yes.
Philip?
Aye.
Daniel?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Rex?
Yes.
Still here, Robin?
Oh, I didn't hear it. Aye.
Matthew Deardahl.
Yes.
We have 24 voting yes for Cadence as the new secretary.
Congratulations, Cadence. And congratulations, Janice, also, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Mute Matthew, I think.
Matthew, you're on mute.
I was like, I just can't get a word in. So Janice, were you joking, or is Cadence actually? We should be clear. Like, are you gonna finish the?
I can. Well, it's up to Cadence. Do you want me to take notes for this meeting and then you start next meeting? It's up to you.
This is the one.
I mean, you're a
position?
secretary, so you can. I can tell you what I, written for the first
Delegate.
24
So this is the
minutes.
one position where there's like a product that you have to like provide. So like, I don't. It might be a good idea, Janice, if you're available to just like do it this time and then maybe meet with Cadence and like, I don't know, or unless you're just ready to rock, Cadence. It's up, but we should clarify that.
And Cadence, you're muted, so.
Sure. Janice, are you working in Google Docs or a Word document?
I just have a Word document so far with mostly it's just attendance, actually.
And
Okay.
Cadence, if you work with Google Docs, you can feel free to send that to us and we can work with that.
Okay, sure. I can go ahead and start a document and share it with y'all so you can see if I'm on the right track.
Sure. Okay. It's all yours.
All right.
Very good.
Jumping right in. It's exciting. All right. I will now open up the floor for nominations for the. Actually, before I open up the floor for nominations for the positions for the engineering subcommittee, just wanted to talk through really briefly. Typically, we have had a chair and a vice chair, right? Which means you have a point person for the committee and then sort of a backup for the committee. It operates very similarly to the chair and vice chair of the whole committee. But that's not written in the bylaws. We definitely could approach that as more of a co-chairship. So like in this past cycle, I think what happened at the engineering committee is those were that operated functionally more like a co-chair position. And 5Es has operated more traditionally as a chair and a vice chair position. So I think if for whoever is elected into those roles, those folks can have a conversation about how they want to approach that. But the default would be that we have a chair with a vice chair as sort of the starting point. So just wanted to share that out. And now we'll open the floor for nominations for the position of engineering subcommittee chair.
Dan Miller, are you interested? I would nominate you.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a second for that nomination?
I second.
I'll second it.
Yeah, I think we're all seconding it.
but for the minutes, I saw at least Aaron, and then Dan, it sounded like you accept.
Yes.
Cool. Any other nominations for the position of engineering subcommittee chair? Last call for nominations for the position of engineering subcommittee chair. All right, with that, I will close nominations. Dan Miller, do you want to say a few words about why you're interested in the role?
Sure. So I'm approaching close to 3 years, I think, on the BAC. I took over the absence of Ward 1 and then was appointed the last term, and served as the assistant or the vice chair for that term. And I will tell you that there's a lot to learn. And I was, first of all, wanted to represent my ward, and I wanted to represent my city, and I had a lot to learn. I had a lot to learn and think about. And so I did that. And but this time around, we've had a lot of change with many long-term members leaving that really coached me and were mentors to me. And I guess I decided to run for this because I felt that there's a calling to the BAC as a committee that I felt was important, and that I truly want to treat this committee as a co-chair and as to develop a really interesting next 2 years together, the people that are on the engineering committee. So that's it.
Thanks, Dan. Millicent, will you call the roll?
Sure. Aaron, I see you joined. Did you want to vote?
I have. I would love to vote. I vote yes. Aye.
Great. Bree? Bree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dan Booty?
Aye.
Dan Miller?
Aye.
Deanna?
Aye.
Alyssa?
Aye.
Georgiana? Georgiana, you ready to vote for Dan?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, I vote yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Jamie?
Aye.
Janice?
Absolutely, yes.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Joey?
Aye.
John Barrows?
Yes.
Cadence?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Marty?
Yes.
Matthew Hendricks?
Yes.
Aya?
Yes.
Aye.
Bill? Samuel?
Aye.
Steve Elmer?
Aye.
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
Great. 25 yeses for Dan Miller.
Congratulations, Dan.
Thank you.
I will now open the floor for nominations for the position of engineering subcommittee vice chair.
I'd like to make a nomination, please, and I'll follow it up afterwards if she accepts. And I would like to nominate Marty Grimes.
Do we have a second?
I second it, Janice.
Marty, do you accept the nomination?
Oh, I'm a little nervous. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing. But I love to, you know what? I'm just going to try it. I'll accept.
All right.
Yay.
All right, we have Marty as a nominee. Do we have any other nominations? Any other nominations? Last call for nominations for the position of Engineering Subcommittee Vice Chair. With that, I will close nominations for the position of Engineering Subcommittee Vice Chair. Marty, do you want to say a few words?
It's just an honor to be a part of this group. I am passionate about biking, and I just want to make our city just be the biking capital of the entire world. So yeah, I'm excited. I have no idea what's going on yet, so I'm looking forward to learning. But thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Marty. Millicent, would you call the roll?
Aaron,
Aye.
Bree,
Yes.
Dan Booty,
Aye.
Dan Miller,
Aye.
Deanna,
Aye.
Alyssa,
Aye.
Georgiana,
Yes.
Heather,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Dennis,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Aye.
Bessie,
Aye.
Joey,
Aye.
John,
Absolutely.
Cadence,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Marty,
Yes.
Matthew Hendricks,
Yes.
Aya,
Yes.
Philip,
Yes.
Samuel,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Wes,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
25 yeses for the new vice chair of the engineering subcommittee. Marty.
Congratulations, Marty.
Thank you.
Okay, we're getting close to the end. This is a perfect example of something that takes 10 minutes in person and is going to take us almost an hour online. I will now open the floor for nominations for the position of 5E's subcommittee chair. I would like to nominate Bree Whitcraft. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Bree, do you accept the nomination?
I accept.
Good.
Any other nominations for the position of 5E's subcommittee chair? Any other nominations? Last call for nominations. With that, I will close nominations for the position of 5E subcommittee chair. Bree, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of the BAC, and I think in the subcommittee for the 5Es, I'm looking most forward to having deeper conversations, moving us forward to make sure that Minneapolis residents and anyone who is within our borders is able to bike safely, and really make sure that that is equitably dispersed as well. Yeah, thank you for the nomination.
Thanks, Bree. Millicent, will you call the roll?
Aaron,
Yes. Aye.
Bree, you can vote for yourself.
Yes.
Dan Booty,
Aye.
Dan Miller,
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Alyssa?
Aye.
Georgiana?
Yes.
Heather? Heather? Yeah, we're gonna keep going. Jamie?
Aye.
Janice?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Joey?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Cadence?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Marty?
Yes.
Matthew Hendricks?
Yes.
Maya?
Aye. Or yes.
Philip?
Yes.
Daniel?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Leslie?
Yes.
Robin?
Aye.
Matthew?
Yes.
24. Yes. for
All right, this is Heather. I'd like to vote yes too.
Okay, awesome. I'll put you down. That makes 25.
Thanks, Millicent, and congratulations, Bree. Last one. I will now open the floor for nominations for the position of 5E Subcommittee Vice Chair.
I'd like to make a nomination, and I hope she accepts this. Heather Gillick.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Second.
Heather, do you accept the nomination?
Ooh, y'all are stepping out. I'll take the nomination, yeah.
All right, we
Unless
have
there's someone new in the space who wants to join.
all right, we have Heather as a nominee. Do we have any other nominations for the position of 5E Subcommittee Vice Chair? Any other nominations? Last call of the last calls for nominations. All right, with that, I will close nominations for the position of 5E Subcommittee Vice Chair. Heather, do you want to say a few words?
Sure, this is exciting. I didn't fully plan to sign on to a thing like this today. I briefly consulted with my dog. He agrees. It's okay. We'll do it together. Thank you all. I look forward to this opportunity.
Thanks, Heather. Millicent, will you call the roll?
Sure. Aaron?
Aye.
Bree?
Yes.
Can you say it one more time?
Yes.
Okay. Dan Booty?
Aye.
Dan Miller?
Aye.
Deanna?
Aye.
Alyssa?
Aye.
Georgiana?
Aye.
Heather? You can vote.
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Janice?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Joey?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Cadence?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Marty?
Yes.
Matthew Hendricks?
Yes.
Maya?
Yes.
Philip?
Aye.
Daniel? Samuel?
Aye.
Steve Elmer?
Aye.
Wes?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
Great, 25 votes for Heather as vice chair.
Congratulations, Heather. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you for bearing with us as we just called the roll like 9 times in a row, which is not the most fun part of serving on a committee right now. I cannot wait until we are all back in person and get to bike to be together on a beautiful day like today and have votes that don't take us 50 minutes. So fingers crossed, but that by the next time we need to do elections, we will be able to do this in a slightly less unwieldy way. So. All right, with that, I think we are done with elections. Matthew, is there anything else we need to cover before we move on to the next agenda item?
I don't think so. I'm excited. Excited for the first executive committee next month. Oh, I guess I should say Millicent will get all of the new names on that invite, which again is, I don't know if I said this, is 1 week before this meeting at 1 o'clock on Teams. So that'd probably be the only thing. Oh, and that can change too. So I mean, that should be, maybe we can address that via email. It should be whatever works for the group. So that's all. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Matthew.
Hey, Alyssa, this is Chris. Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
I just want to say congrats to the new 5E chairs, and we do have a meeting next Tuesday. So just know that I'll be reaching out by email after this, and hopefully we can connect sometime before then. And congrats everyone else.
Cool. Thanks, Chris. Next on the agenda is the Hiawatha maintenance facility, and we were hoping to have a city staffer come present about this, but they were not able to do so. So I am going to present about this because I'm somewhat familiar with the project. And so I'm going to do a little bit of Robert's rules wizardry, and actually Philip ask you to be the presiding officer while I do the presentation and be the one who calls the question, because chairs generally shouldn't bring forward motions. So
sure.
So I'll do the presentation on the Hiawatha maintenance facility, and we'll talk about some motions near the end of that. So that's what's up next. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my notes and share my screen. Give me just a second as I switch mental gears here. All right. Hopefully folks can see my screen now. And I am going to try to keep this presentation pretty high level. This is like a huge project with a lot of detail in it. Part of the reason we're discussing it today, there's some bicycle elements of the site. It's very close to the Midtown Greenway. It's currently undergoing like an environmental review as part of the process. And there's a public comment deadline until March 11th. So it's pretty timely that we get it on our committee agenda today. Otherwise, this would probably be more typically shown at a subcommittee meeting. So the document is like the public document is about 1,000 pages. We are obviously not going to go through it all. I'll try to highlight some stuff and keep things really high level for this discussion today. And then we can talk about some potential motions at the end. So for folks who, some folks may be familiar with this site. So this is the Hiawatha Maintenance Facility. It's a consolidation of some maintenance facilities that exist right now in Northeast and Fridley. You may also have heard it colloquially referred to as the Roof Depot site. There's a building on the site. It's the Roof Depot building that's going to be demolished. So this is actually an expansion of an existing facility. So sorry, this is the citywide, I'll describe it for folks on the phone. So this is the citywide map. You can see the site is located adjacent to Highway 55. It's a little bit north of Lake Street. So right above the north of the Pioneers and Soldiers Cemetery. And like I said, the Midtown Greenway runs directly adjacent to it. This is a slightly zoomed in or much zoomed in picture of the site. So you can see there's Highway 55 just to the eastern boundary. The northern boundary here is East 26th Street. The southern boundary is 28th Street, and then most of the western boundary is Longfellow Avenue. It has a little bit of a jog where there's like a half block of residential housing. So that's just a picture of the overall site. I will say the site itself has some history of contention. So it's located in the East Phillips neighborhood, and there are a lot of folks in the East Phillip neighborhood, which is in Ward 9. I'm the Ward 9 rep. A lot of folks in East Phillip who have been organizing for a long time to have something else put on the Roof Depot site that does not include expansion of public works maintenance facilities. So just some context to be aware of as we're going through the project. Part of the reason we need to discuss the project, let's see if I might actually want to pull up just one more view here of the project, so you can kind of see what's being proposed. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So this is a picture of the buildings that are going to be built on the site. It's turned a little bit. So the last picture was a north-south picture. This is everything's sort of been rotated. So you can see 26th Street now is sort of over on the right side of the page, and 28th is on the left. So there's a number of facilities on the site. The two that I would highlight as ones we're going to discuss later are this building B, which is a really big parking ramp. And then there's also building H, which is a training center, which is going to be the sort of community and publicly accessible portion of the site. The rest of this is really going to be for the maintenance facility rather than for the public to be accessing. And then this is just one more view of the project from a slightly different angle. So you can see here, we're looking at it from the southwest corner of the project now. And so you can kind of more clearly see on the right-hand side, the adjacent Midtown Greenway going up to the Sabo Bridge over 55 there. So that's an overview of the site. I wish I could show you things side by side, but this is a single, the public document for this is a single document that's about 1,100 pages. So we're gonna just keep flipping through things. To give you a sense of the bike facilities around the site and why the site is important. So you can see, obviously, we've already discussed a large portion of the eastern border of the site is the Midtown Greenway leading up to the Sabo Bridge here. There's also a bike facility that runs directly along Hiawatha that borders the site. And then we obviously have the East 26th and East 28th Street bike lanes. Those are protected bike lanes. And so there's a fair amount of bicycle traffic that goes directly adjacent to the site. In terms of bike traffic on and through the site. So this is a picture of the site again with 26th Street on the north side, 28th Street on the south side. You can see here to the right, there's that Midtown Greenway trail. And this is sort of the proposed flow of bicycles into and out of the site. So you can see there's an exit onto 26th Street. It kind of the flow of bicycle traffic through the site, they anticipate sort of weaves around here and goes to some bike storage that's in the northeast corner of the site, located actually, I think, in the parking ramp. Anticipating bicycles will flow sort of through the parking ramp to get to the Midtown Greenway when they're accessing from the east side of the site. And then you can also see down on the southern portion near 28th Street, anticipating that people are going to be exiting to the west and sort of looping back around the corner to get to the Greenway. So that's how they anticipate they're planning for bikes to circulate through the site. I think it's also useful to see this map here is exactly the same map, but with walking and vehicle overlay on flow. So you can see there are a number of spaces where, especially as bikes are exiting through the north side and exiting through the south side, they plan for bikes and vehicles to be running along the same pathway. So this maintenance facility is going to have quite a few hundred vehicles on it. We'll get into the specifics of how many vehicles later, but the two primary purposes of the facility are going to be to have maintenance vehicles and equipment, and then there's also going to be some water processing happening on the site. So there's going to be quite a lot of traffic, and this flow of vehicles through the site is really important, not only for people commuting to the site, the employees who work there, but for getting those maintenance vehicles in and out throughout the day. One of the things that is probably of particular interest to this group is the fact that they're proposing a one-block, two-way off-street bike trail along the southern portion of the site on 28th. So again, you can see here on the right side, there's the Midtown Greenway in this running from sort of horizontally across. You can see some of the existing bikeways. So there's a dotted line. There's a one-way on-street bike lane there that has bollards for 3/4 of the year until they get knocked down in the winter. And then that connects to an off-street bike trail here. If folks have ridden the Greenway, that's sort of, you either have the option to cross 28th and go straight, stay on the Greenway and go up the Sabo Bridge, or continue on that bike trail that leads you directly to Hiawatha, where you cross at the same level as the rest of the traffic. So there's that proposed bike path. I'll walk through what they're proposing for options, and they're pretty similar. I think I want page 891. This is a view of what they're proposing for the bike trail. So this is bike lane option 1. So you can see here it has a 4-foot boulevard, a 6-foot sidewalk, a 3-foot buffer between the sidewalk and the bike trail, and then has a bike trail next to the building. They've set back the building from the right-of-way, so while the right-of-way would sort of end several feet into the bike trail otherwise, because they've set the building back, there's more room for that bike trail. The other option is, so I'll flip to bike lane option 2, which is basically the same option, except so all of the widths are all the same. It's still a 6-foot sidewalk, still a 7.5-foot trail. But instead of having the sidewalk portion be adjacent to the street, the sidewalk portion is adjacent to the building and the bike trail is adjacent to the street. In terms of how that looks in practice, so now we're going to flip to an overhead view. So this is option 1 with the bike lane closer to the building. And you can see here, so it has a number of spots where the bike lane takes a pause because of vehicle, well, it doesn't exactly take a pause. I don't know quite how to describe it, but it doesn't, the paving doesn't go all the way through because there are stairs and entrances into the building. It also has on this west-hand side a little bit of an odd truncation, which I'm unclear why it looks like that. Because now I'll flip to this second option where you can see now the bike facility is closer to the street and the sidewalk is adjacent to the building, and you can see it's seems to be a lot smoother in terms of experience because they're not taking pauses in the process to make space for the building entrances because there's already sidewalk there, and then it seems to have a much clearer way to access the street on the end. It's not truncated quite so awkwardly on that west side. It looks like it just goes into a wide, one of those really wide curb cuts. So those are the two proposed bike paths for that one block segment. The stated purpose of the bike path, obviously they have bike parking inside the facility here. And so I'm going to go back to this map, which is the big picture map. Because the exit, right, is on this west-hand side, it seems like the proposed bike facility is an attempt to make sure that folks who are sort of looping around don't have to cross 28th Street to get to the bike facility on the other side of the street, and then to get to the Greenway. It seems unlikely that people would do that. Everyone would probably just ride on the sidewalk. So it seems like a good addition that they're actually putting in some bike facilities there. I'm going to take a quick pause. There's some other things in terms of bike parking and bike racks, some of the overall parking situation and use on the site, but I wanted to pause here to see if folks had any questions specifically about the proposed bike facility, since I imagine that that's something we'll want to comment on. And I can't currently see the chat, so I would be relying on either Philip or Matthew to call and raise hands.
Philip has a question.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I was just jumping to the first thing that caught my picture in this schematic was the parking ramp, and it looked like it was a sloped parking ramp, and that always raises a red flag for me, because in 20, 25, 30 years, are we going to need this entire facility for parking? Although if it's an increase of what is now a surface lot for maintenance vehicles, maybe it's always going to be for City of Minneapolis vehicles, but it makes the facility less adaptable for other uses other than parking. So it doesn't relate to biking, it just relates to locking in facilities for cars, which is a problem.
Yeah, and I will definitely touch more on some of the parking situation later in the presentation. I have a few thoughts on that as well. Any other comments or questions specific to the proposed bike facility?
I think one of the kind of questions I have, and I know you probably not be able to answer this right now because you're not from the city, but like it seems like the second option is probably going to be like the preferable option, except that like the sidewalk immediately adjacent to the site to the east would need to kind of be aligned a little bit better coming into this site. Let's see the second option after that one. So if you had this option, it seems like the sidewalk to the east would need to be kind of shifted up a little bit, at least, you know, transition up that way. And I don't know, I'm wondering, at least a question for the city would be, would that still be on the table? Can they adjust that sidewalk further to the east, or is it only like what they're showing what they can do?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and here's one of those like minute details. So later in this thing, they make mention of the fact that the Midtown Greenway Trail will potentially need to be realigned during project construction. So obviously they're going to be touching things to the east of the project boundary, and I think it would be very reasonable to ask them to align the sidewalk as they're moving other things around.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Any other questions on this section?
Cadence?
I have a quick question. So this site design has been adopted, like there isn't going to be any other change to the site plan as far as we know?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that could be the case. There are a couple things that are happening right now. So this environmental review process is open for, things are open for public comment. One of the things that's particular to this point in this environmental review process is that the city has to respond to all the public comments that are submitted on the project. And if they commit to doing something in responding to those comments, they will have to do it. So this is a nice leverage point there. The project also is going to have to go through like the Planning Commission and probably a couple other points before it gets to final approval. So I think there are a number of places in which there might be some opportunities for change. But this is a good point in the process for us to weigh in as best we can. Did that answer your question?
Yes, I was just wondering how much latitude there might be for something to change. I'm also familiar with some of the work that Epic has done over the last 5 years to try to have something different proposed for the site. And I'm just curious to see what they're considering to do around the site in terms of organizing. So
Yeah, so I'm aware that the Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy, MCEA, is currently partnering with EPIC to do turnout in the neighborhood. MCEA's goal, maybe not goal, that's probably too strong, but they are approaching their advocacy from a framework of it is still potentially possible to halt the entire project. So those organizing efforts are continuing to happen. There's several meetings on that this week if anyone is interested in that information.
Bree?
Yeah, just some background question. And it's okay if no one knows, but I was wondering where are all these people staffed currently in the public works department currently? And why are they moving here? What?
Yeah, that is a great question. So there are two other sites. So let me see if I can come. I don't think I can flip back to the page right now. But there's sort of like I said, the north half of the site where there's already some public works staff, and that's already a public works facility. It's the Roof Depot half that's really the expansion, and obviously they're doing some development across the north and south parts of the site. They are relocating a water treatment facility that I believe is located in Fridley, and then a maintenance facility that's in Northeast. In particular, it sounds like the water treatment facility needs to be expanded, and there's just not enough footprint to do it, is the messaging I've seen from the city. I'm a little less clear on why they're relocating the maintenance vehicles and the maintenance operations from Northeast. Obviously, there's going to be some overhead efficiencies that are attractive. I just have philosophical questions about the fact that if you have maintenance vehicles that need to go across the city, why are you consolidating them all in one spot in the southern half of the city? There's also some other projects that are dependent on this relocation. For example, one of the sites that they're vacating, the city already has plans to turn into a fire station. If I recall correctly, the fire station that's going to be relocated to this facility, that old site, they also have plans for. So there's a little bit of a domino effect in terms of public works planning around facilities that is dependent on relocating some things to the site.
Thank you.
So Alyssa, do you have more to present, or are you thinking that there needs to be a resolution coming out of the committee today?
Yeah, I have a little bit more to present. We're probably two-thirds of the way through. I wanted to talk a little bit about the parking situation, and then I do have a draft resolution for us to consider on sort of the project as a whole. And I think then also would be interested in sort of a separate resolution just on the bike facility portion of it. So if there are no more questions, I will jump back into it.
Okay.
All right, so as I mentioned earlier, some of those two buildings, that building B, which is the parking ramp, I wanted to talk about. So just wanted to, this is a paragraph here that I'm just going to read. So the proposed facility will provide for 888 total parking and equipment storage spaces. The proposed facility includes 353 parking spots for city fleet vehicles, 146 for city fleet equipment storage, 315 parking spots for employee parking, and then about 75 for visitor parking and the publicly accessible training center on that southwest corner of the site. So those spaces are allocated. There's some fleet vehicles that are going to be parked indoors, but it is about half are going to be in the parking ramp, and then about half are going to be surface parking. So there's currently a 3-story parking ramp proposed, and also just as much parking proposed as surface parking. So I think that's something to note. They anticipate a lot of the trips in and out of the site will be about half of them will be employee vehicles. So I think that's noteworthy. You know, my thoughts on some of this will become clear in the resolution, but it seems to me a little ridiculous to go to the expense of building a parking ramp and then also to be having so much surface parking. So we can talk about that further, but generally when you build a parking ramp, you're trying to eliminate parking, and it would be a great opportunity to maybe then repurpose a lot of the, you know, land use of the site for other things, rather than having both a giant parking ramp and a lot of surface parking. One other thing I wanted to touch on, I'm on the screen now, is just a list of what they're calling complete streets and Vision Zero brainstorm ideas. And we don't have time to go into these in detail. So here's a page, there's a second page, there's a third page, there's a fourth page. A lot of these things are really great. They involve things like removing slip turns, and narrowing lanes. There's a proposed potential road diet for the 26th and 28th streets to do a 4 to 3 lane or a 4 to 2 lane conversion. So those are a lot. There's a lot here. There's a lot of really specific actions that I think are good, and also that we cannot possibly get into at the committee level today. But just wanted to highlight those, as I think a lot of those are positive. One thing I wanted to note that we may want to consider having a discussion on at a subcommittee meeting, potentially engineering. They make reference to the Hennepin County Cedar Avenue test project that started this past fall. They basically took 2 of the lanes and tried to remove vehicle traffic from them, and it's made there's some room for improvement in that. It intersects pretty closely with the 24th Street and 26th Street bike lanes, and has made some things pretty unpredictable and dangerous. So that may be something we want to comment on at the committee level, separate from this project as a whole. So the last thing I will highlight before bringing a motion is some of the mode split goals for the site. So this is specific to the employees commuting to the site. This has nothing to do with the fleet vehicles on the site. And so this is a table of mode split goals where it says, you know, how are employees getting here? Are they walking, biking, taking transit, using some other, you know, thing like remote working, or are they taking a single occupancy vehicle? And want to note that for the current site, it's about 90%, so it's pretty bad. 9 out of 10 people drive to the site. And the site-specific goal, which is for reducing that, is 66%, right? So they're saying we're going to go from having 9 of every 10 people commuting by themselves in a car to the site, and we're going to have that be 2 of every 3 people, right? So it's an improvement. But it is not, as you can see in the last column in the table, anywhere close to the citywide 2030 mode split goal for trips, right? So they're anticipating they'll have, you know, maybe 10% of people taking transit, between remote options, walking, biking, another 20-ish% of people using sustainable transportation, and then still 2/3 of the people using the site are going to be taking cars. And that needs to look more than the opposite way. It needs to, you know, the citywide goal is that we have 20% of people in no more than 20% of people using single occupancy vehicle trips by 2030. This site is going to be operational by 2025. They've outlined a lot of really great, what are called transit demand management strategies. So behavior change strategies to get folks to shift their behavior as best they can. And we know that parking is an incredible incentive for driving. And so, you know, they're going to have 5 years to make up quite a bit of ground. And there's not a clear pathway in this plan for how to do that. What they've committed to is doing an annual survey of employee commuter habits and working on it, basically. So that's kind of where the project is at. There's a lot of really great details, but also quite a bit of parking. They take pains to say in this report that they've done a lot of work to constrain parking on the site already, but we're still seeing that their plan is to have 2/3 of people driving to and from the site.
I think we have Bree with a comment, question.
Yeah, I was wondering, I'm just assuming that the car parking is free, but I just want to have a confirmation. Alyssa.
Yeah, I could not find any reference to paid parking in this document. It is possible that I missed it because it's 1,100 pages, but I did not see any reference to paid parking. That is one strategy that could be used to actually disincentivize people from driving once the parking is built. I do think there are some philosophical challenges with using taxpayer money to build a parking ramp that we then plan to not use because parking ramps are very expensive.
I would also add that if the issue of a monthly contract is being discussed, monthly contracts are also just such an incentive for, oh, well, I've paid for the whole month. Why should I bike, bus, get a ride, walk? But yeah, 1,100 pages, I'm sure you may have missed that. Let's see, John, we have a hand.
Yes, I was just wanting to comment about the the parking ramp itself and the fact that I don't know what the cost is per space, but it averages around $20,000 to $30,000, which is definitely not a cheap thing. With the infrastructure, the biking infrastructure that is right adjacent and funneling really throughout the city, and then plus the walkability of that particular area. Wow, I'm just amazed that that 2% and 5% is as low as it is. Not to mention the access to the Blue Line, which is a block and a half away.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's not only the Blue Line, but the future B Line, I think will be operational by 2025, if not soon after 2025. So yes, I would agree. These all feel, and the Greenway is our premier bike facility as a city. It does feel quite low.
Let's see, Cadence and then Bree.
Yeah, so also similarly, like when I have attended EPIC events or read through the materials and tried to get a sense of how many employees current employees actually live within the surrounding neighborhood. Because it's a big ask to ask people who are driving from Maplewood or White Bear Lake to bike. Like, we're just not going to get those employees who live outside of Minneapolis to bike here, and transit really isn't an option from some of those more remote spots. So I understand that there just aren't a ton of employees that currently live within a walkable or bikeable distance of this facility, and also considering the hours that people might be working. If your shift ends at 2 a.m., I think you're less likely to bike commute or to walk, particularly if it's colder or you need someone to come pick you up and you can't because most of the people that you know in your life are asleep. So I know that these initial employee commuting goals are really disappointing, but I think they're also like overly ambitious for like the employee pool that they have. And so I know that that's also been part of the conversation is if you're going to build this facility and put it in this neighborhood, you need to employ people who actually live in the neighborhood so that they don't have to drive to work. But I'm not sure where that conversation stands now. I think that's important to note in any resolution that you can't ask people who won't be able to bike here based on geographic distance to bike here. So that's just one consideration there.
Yeah, and Cadence, that's really great. So I mentioned that public-facing training facility. One thing they particularly call out is that they expect a number of employees on this site, like a large number of employees on this site, to be retiring in coming years. And so they do have that job recruitment, that training center. That's, the stated goal of it is to do that recruitment and be hiring people who do live in the neighborhood. So I think that's, as a stated goal, that's good context for us. The other thing I will say, I was trying to page through really quick, but I cannot find it. They have an hour by hour flow in, flow out of traffic to the facility. And it looks like based on when they're anticipating everyone arriving and everyone leaving, everyone's going to be working not necessarily 9 to 5, but like daytime hours. So there's, a number of vehicles that will sit on the facility overnight, but they do not have any planned traffic flow happening outside of the 8 to 6 time frame.
Bree and then Deanna, and then we probably need to move just to get to 2 other agenda topics. So Bree.
Yeah, I just feel that it is a really odd place to put a facility that large near one of the preeminent bike facilities of the Sable Bridge and making that area less bike friendly, even when they add the bike infrastructure, just because of the amount of vehicles, car traffic, going through that neighborhood at all times of the day. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. And that's my comment. Thanks.
Okay, Deanna?
Yeah, I worked with the city of Minneapolis on the initial consolidation of this site. The site's been there a long time. And in fact, what they did is they got rid of some other uses on the site that were not so clean, and then put this particular facility on it. And they went through a great deal of trouble to try to make it, sustainable at least. But at that time, even 10 years ago, they were eyeing the site next door to do the final consolidation of all of their people. And these are not remote people for the most part. These are hands-on kind of people. I guess my question really is, and you went through the parking spaces kind of quickly. Why? I guess to think about what they should be doing, then they should be providing just enough parking spaces for their fleet. And then to take their goals and say, well, then how many parking spaces then remain? I was a little confused too why they would have the covered parking as well as the uncovered parking. Their current uncovered parking, by the way, is actually on impervious surface. As part of their sustainability efforts when they first built it. But it would be nice to know whether they have actually worked through the formula that says, I need this many parking spaces only for my fleet and this many for my employees if I make these general assumptions. And then that would be what they would propose.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It would be very nice if we had that information and it was publicly clear and accessible. I don't know that it feels like it currently is.
So Alyssa, you've prepared a resolution?
I have prepared a draft resolution. Let me see if I can share my screen again. And obviously this doesn't include any of the comments that you all just provided. This was just an attempt at a first draft. Like I said, this doesn't address the specifics about the 1 block long bike facility on 28th. I think we should just do a separate comment on that because it sounds like that's a pretty straightforward resolution. So I will read this aloud. So this is a resolution on the Hiawatha Maintenance Facility. The Minneapolis Bicycle Advisory Committee supports the following elements of the site plan and transit demand management strategies identified in the environmental assessment worksheet for the Hiawatha Maintenance Facility. 1 of 5, piloting free transit passes for employees who commute by transit 3 or more days a week, and especially the intention to evaluate and expand the program. 2, the addition of a trail on the southern edge of the site along the north side of 28th Street to facilitate access to the neighborhood and to the Midtown Greenway. 3, bike storage and facilities for employees, including showers and lockers. 4, bike parking for visitors to the site. And 5, the commitment to maintaining clear, well-lit sidewalks connected to the municipal sidewalk system. Additionally, many of the items listed on table C2, that's that table I scrolled through really fast, would provide significant improvements to vehicle-related safety for people walking, biking, and rolling in the neighborhood. However, the increased levels of traffic at the site will create additional conflicts between people driving and people walking and biking. These additional conflicts will undermine these improvements. However, the site's mode split goals fall well short of the citywide 2030 mode split goals. The site TDM plan sets a goal of reducing single occupancy commuter trips to 66% rather than the citywide goal of 20%. While significant efforts have been made to constrain parking on the site, parking garages and surface parking provide sustained incentives to drive once built. It is unlikely any additional TDM strategies will succeed at the necessary scale given the site's use of parking. And even if future TDM strategies such as increased parking fees are successful, that will leave the site with unused parking infrastructure financed by taxpayers. Similarly, it is discouraging to see the widespread use of surface parking alongside a parking ramp. If a parking ramp of any size must be built, surface parking should be extremely limited or eliminated. Given the site's location near the Metro Blue Line and future B-Line BRT, as well as its adjacency to the Midtown Greenway as the city's premier bike facility, the site should plan to reduce its parking facilities to the point that commuter patterns align with citywide mode split goals and further increase facilities and incentives for walking, biking, and transit. So moved.
All right, it's been moved by by Alyssa. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by?
This is Kyle.
Kyle, great, all right. Good, any further sort of comments, questions, observations?
Do we have a preference for, there was two options for the bike facilities on the south part. Do we have a preference for which side the bike facility should be on compared to where the sidewalk is?
I would say the second option.
Yeah.
Since you're further away from cars that would be exiting the facility.
Yeah, could we amend?
Second option.
Yeah, could we amend bullet 2 to include that we favor option 2?
And that's the bicycles closest to the
travel lanes.
Travel lane north side, yeah.
Okay. That's a typical arrangement you see in most places anyways when you have both the sidewalk and bike facility on the same level.
Great, all right.
And then Alyssa, does it make sense to also say to adjust the sidewalk on the east as well so that it lines up with the sidewalk along the site?
Yeah. So I'm going to add I'm going to type this and then I'm going to read it. Sorry, I can't. Does that cover it? So changing
the city, it should be the city should align the existing sidewalk with the new sidewalk.
Okay.
Yep.
So now bullet 2 reads, the addition of a trail on the southern edge of the site along the north side of 28th Street to facilitate access to the neighborhood and to the Midtown Greenway, with bike trail option 2 as the preferred option. The city should align the existing sidewalk to the east with the new sidewalk.
All right, any other comments before sounds like we should, because we're submitting this before the March 11th comment period, which is before any other BAC subcommittees meet. So let's see, Matthew.
Hi, yeah. And first I wanted to say thank you to Alyssa and the rest of the subcommittee for going through all the work of reviewing the plan and coming up with this motion. I have a pretty strong preference, I guess I'd say, for surface parking over structured parking, not because surface parking is beautiful or wonderful, but because structured parking is such a massive investment that it's extremely rare and infrequent for structured parking to get repurposed for anything else, whereas surface parking lots are often, turned into housing or turned into other useful uses. So I think we may want to make some kind of comment that if there's any way to accommodate the parking without a parking structure, that would be preferred. Not least because, the optics of investing, many, many millions of dollars in a parking ramp right next to the Sabo Bridge is really odd as well. It just makes a very strange statement, I think, about the city's priorities. So that's my comment. I'm not sure if there's an easy way to adjust the language to accommodate that.
Sounds like Alyssa is doing it as we.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Awesome.
Does the TAP have any language for parking ramps?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I thought Minneapolis 2040 or the TAP or something had some language about parking ramps.
I don't know. This is Matthew Deardahl. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
I am glancing at that. I feel like we do, but I can't remember.
This goes to like the Reserve Bank when they had the big one there. I think there was some reference.
And does the city's transportation demand management policies talk about trying to avoid monthly parking contracts? Because those really lock people into driving all the time. Even if they want a bike, it's like, oh, I've already paid. I'm gonna drive. If not, that maybe is a future discussion.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know. And I also am aware that the TDM ordinance is under review. So that would be a great thing to discuss at a subcommittee meeting. Matthew, I changed. So there was the sentence about not having surface parking and a parking ramp. So that now reads, similarly, it is discouraging to see the widespread use of surface. Sorry, I'm going to get rid of the word widespread. Similarly, it is discouraging to see the use of surface parking alongside a parking ramp. Because of the expense and difficulty in repurposing, a parking ramp should be avoided if at all possible.
That sounds excellent.
Okay, so as amended, moved and seconded, we have this resolution to submit. Are we ready to call the roll? Okay, Millicent.
Okay, Aaron.
Aye.
Aye. Bree.
Aye.
Ann Booty.
Aye.
Dan Miller.
Aye.
Deanna.
Aye.
Alyssa.
Aye.
Georgiana. Heather.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
Janice.
Aye.
Jennifer.
Aye.
Jesse.
Abstain.
Joey.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Cadence.
Aye.
Aye.
Marty.
I will abstain.
I called Marty Grimes.
Sorry.
Aye. Aye.
That's okay. Matthew Hendricks.
Yes.
Maya.
Yes.
Philip.
Aye.
Robin. Samuel. Samuel Ferg. Steve Elmer.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Wes.
Yes.
Matthew Deardahl.
Yes.
Great. 20 yes and 2 abstentions.
All right, the motion passes, and Thank you, Alyssa, for this 1,000-page speed read and your rather thorough resolution here brought up. I'll hand it back to you. And we have two reports. Are there any action items in the two? I didn't. Yes, there are maybe. Yes, in the engineering report, I think.
Yeah. So I will go through the 5E subcommittee report very quickly. It should only take a few minutes. We didn't have any actions. We covered three things. We talked a little bit about the capital improvement program, also known as the CIP. We got a year-end review from of the Bicycle Advisory Committee's work from last year from Chris. And then we did some orientation stuff and reviewed some key documents. So the notes are pretty thorough. I think what I would say about the capital improvement program discussion is that it was pretty high level and introductory. Mike, the staffer who came to give the presentation, is going to be joining us again relatively soon to talk about the plans for the next CIP cycle. And so he was really looking to get comments and questions and preparation for that more detailed visit. So that will be exciting to see in the coming months.
Alyssa, can I jump in on that as well?
Yep.
Hey, this is Chris. So I did just want to put in a plug for the 5E meeting this coming Tuesday. I think that's going to be where the bulk of the work for this upcoming CIP resolution is done. So please, if you have ideas for what you want that resolution to look like and what you want to be in our CIP moving forward, bring those ideas on Tuesday. And we'll have a nice discussion around that.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, the other two things, so the BAC year-end review and the key documents review, there's links to all that stuff in the meeting notes. So if you didn't have a chance to attend, please take a look at some of those. Chris put together a great presentation with pictures of some of the projects that happened in 2020. And then those resources that Chris covered are really useful context to be referring back to and are things that the committee refers to often. Even in the last resolution, somebody mentioned the Transportation Action Plan, right? So that was one of the documents we went over. Yeah.
Just a quick question. The notes, are they just on LIMS? Is that where we find them?
Yeah, I don't know that the subcommittee notes are on the LIMS attachment for this meeting. You should have gotten them underneath at the very bottom of the email. And then if you go back to the subcommittee meeting, I believe they eventually get attached in LIMS.
Okay, so they were attached to the email about this meeting because I didn't see.
Yeah, so it's so there's like the body of the email where there's like the button that says like view the agenda for the meeting. And if you scroll way down to the very bottom, there's links to the individual attachments, including the notes. Any questions on the 5E, the last 5Es report I'm going to give? Other folks are going to be giving this next month. I'm very excited for you all. All right, hearing no questions, I will turn it over to Dan Miller for the engineering subcommittee report, and we might still get out of here on time.
Okay. Millicent, if you could put up the near north safe routes to school project materials that were presented at the subcommittee. And we'll scroll just to the basic layout of it. This was presented by Forrest Hardy, who's the city contact. It's a project that will be going along 16th Avenue North. From Queen Avenue North to Aldrich. So it's an east-west route. And it will be, the planned construction is for summer of 2022. It's a bike boulevard on the All Ages and Abilities Network, and it is connected. It connects 3 different schools. So it's that might be the reason for the naming of it, as well as the funding for it. What was presented, and I apologize, it's a little difficult to get all this stuff going up at the same time, but what was presented to the group were was the existing conditions and then 3 options of different layouts that might include things from traffic circles to an extension, sort of a grassy connection to, there we go. So if we can keep on, I think it's after this, Millicent. Yep, keep going. And this is also online for you on the LIMS site if you want to go through and review more deeply. And if you just stop for a second, go back to the original concept, Millicent, it's one up. One up beyond that. There we go. So that's what it looks like today, and that's the rough layout. To the left is basically Queen, the north-south route, and to the right side, the north-south route is Aldrich. And you will notice the dark brown features being schools that exist now, and one that is vacant in Willard Hay. But what will happen here is they're going to be looking at changing the setups of the different stop signs, how to get across these different stoplights. And if we go to the options now, and one option here was to include things like traffic circles. You'll see the image of that, and you'll see kind of locations of where they are. Other things in sort of this toolkit that they're looking at, and which preceded this, are speed bumps, a RRFB flasher that you could get across. Let's see, is that Emerson there, I think, which is a busy street. And then the third option is, if you look in the middle, just to the south of North Commons Park, you'll see a little sort of solid green area that would kind of flow into the street section. Now, these are 3 options, and this project's at 15% review, so it's very early on. They are likely to take elements of all 3 of these and kind of combine them after they are in active discussion with the community now to get their feedback, and they will be coming up with the design. We were asked if we would do a resolution on this, and there was some uncomfort level that this might be the final time we see this document at 15%. So the group sort of agreed that it'd be nice to have them come back and see more detailed plans as to what actually is going to come about. To that effect, we had an action, and I guess before I read that, is there anybody from the engineering group that would like to add anything that I may have missed in that brief discussion? Okay, so if not, this is the draft resolution that the group came up with, and Matthew Hendricks went away and sort of fine-tuned for us, and I will read that now. It is: the Minneapolis Bicycle Advisory Committee is generally supportive of the Near North Safe Routes to School project. We are especially supportive of the diverter that would connect the North High School campus to North Commons Park. 2, we encourage the city to design and install helpful wayfinding signage on this facility concurrent with primary construction. And 3, we request that Public Works staff bring the project back to the BAC after the project has been narrowed down to a single concept, but before the design has been finalized. So if I could get a second on that, we'll have some discussion.
I would second that, Philip.
Okay, thank you, Philip. All right. Any comments or that people would like to raise? I will be looking at the participants things for hand raised, or you can just come out. And I see one up, but where they are is somebody has their hand. Oh, here we go. Okay, how about Jamie Neldner?
Hey there, thank you. So I shared my concern last week with the subcommittee. I was at that meeting, and it's a really, really great proposal and project. We have, I should specify. I'm the park board staff rep. There is considerable issue with people speeding and running stop signs in their automobiles around North Commons Park consistently. And so I am in huge support of anything to diminish speed around that particular property. However, the thing that makes me pause a bit is the diverter idea that I know people were really excited about, and it is really cool, but I think there need to be some really important discussions with the park board, with the school board, and with emergency services before we make, it just feels like we should be privy to those conversations and outcomes before we make a decision on that as a committee.
Okay. All righty, and then next, Jenny Borden.
Thank you. I have a couple comments, and maybe just on this first one around the traffic diverter. I haven't been part of many of the conversations. I was there to hear from students, but I did hear, at least from the North High admin, somebody on the admin that said they really were not in favor of a diverter at their school. So I'm not sure if more engagement needs to be done on that particular topic. If I'm ready to say that I would support that. The other thing I just want to bring up is I was able to go to the health classes when Forrest presented and just hear from the students, and just overwhelmingly students walking on 16th and around school just really felt unsafe, like with personal safety, and talked about guns and gang violence and slow cars and men in cars was another, or when a car pulls up on you. And I don't know if there's any way that we could ask in this resolution, just that the city just investigate that connection between the built environment and personal safety, and be able to articulate that with some of the suggestions that they're making for the area. Street lighting probably comes to mind as something that might be helpful, but I just would imagine that that's something that you planner people study, like how can I don't know, the way that you can change a road, how you can make that both be more safe and feel more safe for those who are using it.
Okay. And Jenny is your role. You represent just for the group. Can you?
Yeah, I represent Minneapolis Public Schools.
Yeah, thank you. And Matthew Hendricks.
Yeah, I want to first of all say I think the points from the previous two speakers are really well put and well taken. I still think it may make sense for us to support the diverter for a couple reasons. One is, while I don't think it would completely solve some of the personal safety issues that Jenny mentioned, I think it could have a positive contribution to that, because if it's harder for people to drive through an area or quickly drive in and drive out, then I think it's harder for them to harass people or harass students from a car if it's harder to drive there, period. And with some of the other safety concerns, if it's not possible to just quickly drive through, it would help address those. Diverters have been used in a variety of places around Minneapolis where there were concerns about either traffic safety or personal safety, and I think have a pretty good track record. Many have been in place for decades and have been very popular. So I think that it does make sense for us to support it. I also want to make that case in the sense that the BAC isn't making this decision. It's not our decision to make. We're merely making a recommendation. And I think that recommendation will be kind of tossed into the mix with the preferences of the school and the preferences of the park board. And so clearly, if all the local stakeholders think it's a bad idea, it won't happen. But I think from our experience and from our ability to see what's happened when schools and parks have been connected in other parts of Minneapolis and how positive that is, I think it makes sense for us to add that voice to the conversation.
Okay. And we have Deanna Newman.
Yes, I too had expressed some concern that this seemed kind of early before we had heard from the community and before we had heard from the school whether this was even something that was a good idea. And it seems, I guess I would not want to support it this early on. I was wondering though if we could take that first bullet maybe and add some conditions on it, conditional upon the feedback from the school and from the neighborhood. I guess I just feel like we don't know enough about the impact of the diverter on the way that the whole neighborhood operates during the vast majority of the day.
And Marty Grimes.
I was just going to say, part of I think our responsibility is also to kind of teach people on the north side the importance of biking. So it's important to have those structures up. And I guess what I'm saying, I like the idea of it being connected to the school, but it will also be connected to other bikers in the area. And I know biking on the north side is kind of sad, as far as connections. So I'm kind of for it. I do think, Jen has a good post on the district. So I think she would be a good person to kind of take a temperature reading with. But I just wanted to throw that in. I think it's important that it be in the city. I'm excited that it's going to be at North High. And, it's nice to have something dedicated to the North Side, that would be positive for the community and something that we can offer them. So I just wanted to throw that in.
So we're getting very close to our 6 o'clock time, and I feel that there's been some very good input here that I would be somewhat in favor to maybe table this and see if we could write down those thoughts. You could send them to me, and maybe we could rework this for our next month, if that would be helpful.
Is there a time constraint here or time consideration?
It's at 15%, so it's pretty early on, and I think so I think there's room, yes, and to do a more thoughtful, or actually to capture some of the comments that we've heard tonight, and just to kind of fine tune this and make it a little more of a stronger document that. I would be, if somebody wants to take that on to lead that, I would please raise your hand. Otherwise, I will try to pull that stuff together and have it in some format for the next engineering meeting. And I'd really appreciate everybody that has talked to maybe pen just a few of your comments down, so I don't have to try to pull it out of my memory here. So I think that they were very good comments, and we could make this a little stronger.
Can I just add something too? I'm very curious to have this like bigger picture conversation. I'm actually like not alarm bells, but I find this like very interesting because like we have very few streets that we're going to be considering diverting or impacting cars at all, and these like neighborhood greenway routes are one of them, and I think there's just tremendous benefit to this concept, and I think we need to go maybe farther than this and do it in more spots. And so I don't want to discount anything I heard, but like I just wanted to provide that perspective, and I think we should talk through that a little bit. Almost all of our streets have cars, and we very rarely like ask our street to not have cars, and I just want to like provide that perspective and see what people think. Maybe it's like, even 5E or the next engineering committee, but just want to share that.
Matthew. So really quick, I just want to jump in and say we made the motion and had a second, I believe. Cadence can jump in. So we would need to officially vote to table the motion or vote to withdraw the motion to close out the business on the motion. We can't just leave it hanging.
So can I make a proposal? And that would be to add language that Deanna suggested to that first bullet, saying essentially conditioned on support from local stakeholders, and then put that up for a vote today. I also really like Matthew's idea of doing a more in-depth look at diverters and the role of streets going forward. But I think Deanna's idea of making it conditional could really strengthen this and get it to where it needs to be today, if others agree.
I really like that, because what I was really trying to say is there's just this vibe of the community right now not feeling really part of it, and so I think a little more engagement is needed, and so that to me is something that I can go with in terms of like we support this, along with stakeholders supporting it.
Cool. I see Wes has a hand up and Chris, and then would want to move on to either voting on the resolution or voting to table it.
I just wanted to respond to Matthew Deardahl's comment briefly. I think like maybe part of what's happening here, and because I get like, is that when I hear diverter, so like, I don't know where exactly I land on this, but I think maybe something that didn't come through in the presentation quite strongly enough is that if this diverter went in, it would be for like these systematic reasons, thinking about it's a neighborhood greenway and all of that kind of thing. Because like when I hear diverter, I think of like, there are a lot of diverters in the city that probably aren't helpful, and I don't know that like the solution to getting more people to bike versus walking and that kind of thing is not necessarily putting up like random roadblocks, right? And maybe like I initially, when I was in engineering and was listening to this, like maybe had that reaction to it and might have been incorrect there. So like I think I just wanted to respond to you in that way.
Chris, did you want to jump in with something before we deal with the motion?
Yeah, sorry. So I do just want to clarify. I'm not quite sure, Dan, to be frank, if we do have time to table this. And again, I'm not 100% sure, but just because it's at 15%, I think this project's moving a little quickly, which is why they asked for a resolution at this time. So I would strongly encourage taking a stance on things now, and perhaps putting in the caveat that you're talking about. I won't give an opinion one way or the other on that, but I'll just suggest that from the staff point, without 100% certainty, I think that it would be best to do something this month, because it might be a little too late to influence some big things by next month.
Thanks, Chris. That's helpful context. Philip, maybe you can give us your comment while Millicent, would you pull up the motion again that is under consideration? Are you able to do that?
Yes, I think several people have suggested, and I would propose that we amend the first sentence, leaving in especially supportive, but add language being cognizant that more neighborhood and school input is required.
And I think that was an amendment to the first bullet point.
Yeah, amendment to the first bullet. Yeah, correct. Yes, and I think then we should vote on the amended. I mean, I know technically we should vote on the amendment, but I think we're just editing to get to the point where we can vote on this.
You have any language you suggest, and I'll just start typing. Tell me where, or
I think Matthew had something earlier. Matthew Hendricks, sorry.
Sure, and this is really borrowing from Deanna, so credit to Deanna for this, but after that, North Commons Park, comma, conditioned on support from local stakeholders. Hopefully that's a fair representation of what you were saying, Deanna.
Yeah, I think it's a good representation. Thank you for the wording.
Yeah.
Great. Any other discussion before I have Millicent call the roll one more time?
Yes, I'd like to, this is Dan. I'm sorry I couldn't find the raised hand thing. I'm wondering in the second bullet point, if we might be able to add in some of the language that that Jenny had regarding safety of, I heard lighting, which I think is a real good one, and but I think she had a, Jenny, are you still there, that you could kind of expand on that?
I can try. I guess I don't really know what the built environment and safe, like the intersection, so that, the easy example was lighting. And so what would I do to number 2?
Safety considerations?
any suggestions on a complete sentence that I can type while you speak?
We encourage the city to design and install helpful wayfinding signage and safety improvements on this facility. And do we want to condition the very first sentence on increased engagement with the schools and community? The very first sentence of the resolution? Sort of like what we did with the first bullet, but I think Jenny had expressed some concern that maybe people hadn't been doing quite enough engagement with the schools and community.
Okay, can you say the whole sentence and then I can type it and tell me where to make the changes?
Generally supportive of the Near North Safe Routes to School project, conditioned on increased engagement with the schools and local community. But that's just a suggestion. I'd be curious to what other people think about that.
Engagement with the schools and the community.
All right, any other comments? Let's see, looks like somebody's got a raised hand.
Yeah, Alyssa, this is Chris. I've got the raised hand. I just want to point out from the staff perspective that I think safety is maybe a little too general. Safety means a lot of different things to a lot of people. And I think right here, we're specifically talking about what I would call probably public safety as opposed to traffic safety.
Yes.
Or
so
personal
maybe
safety.
add in that. Or personal, yeah.
Safety, yep.
Yeah.
Personal safety improvement.
I would say public. Personal safety for a public project feels a little hard. All right. I'm gonna ask Millicent to call the roll. This has been a really good discussion, and I think the resolution is much improved for everyone's comments and input. So thank you all for your attention. Millicent, if you would call the roll.
Hold on, it went away. 1 second. Whenever I change anything, I've got an older computer, so there it is. Okay. Aaron?
Aye.
Bree?
Aye.
Dan Booty?
Aye.
Dan Miller?
Aye.
Deanna?
Aye.
Alyssa?
Aye.
Georgiana, are you still here? Heather?
Aye.
Heather? Aye. Jamie?
I'll abstain.
Janice?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
Jesse?
Abstain.
Joey?
Aye.
John Barrows?
Aye.
Cadence? Cadence?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Marty?
Aye.
Matthew Hendricks?
Yes.
Maya?
Aye.
Book?
Aye.
Robin?
Aye.
Daniel? You're gone. Steve Elmer? Steve? Wesley?
Yes.
Deardahl?
Yes.
You have 20 yeses and 2 abstentions.
Thanks, Millicent. So this is the last scheduled action on our agenda. I know there's one more brief project report out that, Dan, are you able to stick around for a minute and finish that up? Or do you want to table that report out?
I think we could table it, and I think that the notes and the project materials are online, and people could take a look at it then, and we can bring it up next week if we want to again, or next month. Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds like a great plan. Thanks, Dan, for getting us through that. Thanks, everybody. Imagine how early we would have gotten out if we didn't have to spend 50 minutes calling the roll nine times in a row. So thank you all for sticking around today. Does anybody have any announcements?
So just briefly, I think it would be great if we could have a conversation about parking minimums, probably at 5E. Cam is co-authoring getting rid of parking minimums in Minneapolis, and there's some really interesting stuff in the travel demand management requirements that staff are looking at that I think folks are gonna like quite a bit. So I'd love to get us before 5E, probably, I think maybe next month. And it could be me, or it could be Joe Bernard or somebody else in planning.
I would second that. Barb Thoman, formerly from Transit for Livable Communities, has been doing quite a lot of work the last few months. So it's a great topic. Yeah.
And it's timely. I think that this is actually going to be coming before the Planning Commission pretty quickly here this spring.
Alyssa, do you want me to give the update on your participation in that we heard today? You want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. Joe Bernard reached out today to see if the chairs of this committee and the PAC wanted to participate in a kind of an advisory capacity in their role, and not to presume that Alyssa was going to be chair, but acting vice chair. Her and Abigail Johnson from the PAC are taking that. So
great.
So might be good to have a little bit of discussion since 5Es is on Tuesday, and it sounds like that conversation is happening next Thursday. So it'd be great to have some time on the agenda. New 5Es chairs.
Sounds good. We'll add it.
Nice.
Any other announcements? Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us. I'm very excited about the new exec team and all the new folks on the committee. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you all in the coming weeks and months, and I guess years for some of you. And I hope you all got out to enjoy the nice weather today and Have a good rest of your evening. I will call us adjourned.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Alyssa. Bye.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.